This is week 4 in our impulse control class. You may not be taking the weeks. You may have several weeks in between the class. You may have a couple days in between the class, but this is the 4th session for impulse control class. Again, all content is pay what you wish. My Venmo is Heather-Gutschall-1. My PayPal is paypal.me/Heather-Gutschall. I'm going to take a few minutes to wait for anyone else the others to join us. Okay, so make sure that you have your treats, 3 times as many as you think you'll need. If you are taking this class with your dog right now, make sure you have a leash, 6-foot or 4-foot leash would be helpful. What else? If you prefer to watch the videos and then go back and take the class with your dog at a later date, that's fine too. So I am Heather Gutschall. I am the founder of Handsome Dance Rescue, and I am the lead trainer at Outbound Hounds. This is my foster dog, Sesame, who will be taking the class as my demo dog, as usual. Mill around. Okay, so I'm just waiting for more people to join. Once you join, just let me know that you're here. And while you're waiting, feel free to type any questions that you've had about the class in the comment section, and I will try to get to them at the end. A bit of a lag, so just give it a couple more minutes. Oops. A new question on the marker training video. Where is that question? Was that from you, Edna, or from somebody else? I want to answer questions that are specifically relevant to this class here. But if you're watching live, directly after this will be my normal Thursday night live Q&A. So other questions can be asked at that time. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this week we will be working on 2 things. We're going to be working on crate and doorway rushing. So we're going to be kind of combining the calm greetings exercise from last time. And we're going to be working on a default leave it. So this is Sophia Yin's version of Leave It, the way that Sophia Yin teaches it. And while we're waiting, I'll just talk a little bit about Dr. Sophia Yin. And I want to talk a little bit about compassion fatigue. I don't know if that's something that, a term that, you guys have heard of before, but compassion fatigue happens a lot with folks that work in the animal care industry. It can happen to those of us who work in shelters. It can happen to folks in rescue. It can happen to dog trainers and even to veterinarians. So compassion fatigue is when we care a lot and there's not always a good outcome. So in my line of work, I may be working really hard to help a dog, but we may not be able to get to a point where a dog is safe and some difficult decisions have to be made. In shelter work, obviously similar, whether it's for medical reasons, for space, especially in those southern shelters. adoptions falling through, things like that. It's about wanting the best and working really hard for the best, sometimes at our own mental health expense. So, there's a lot of sadness in working in animal rescue. Really in working to rehabilitate or, help modify behavior of dogs that have very significant behavioral issues. So it's something that all of us, I know I've definitely dealt with it in the past. Self-care is important. Taking a break is important. We did lose, unfortunately, we lost Dr. Sophia Yin a few years back. She unfortunately passed away. I think a lot of that had to do with compassion fatigue and just a lot of feelings related to, I'm not going to do this justice, but just a lot of feelings related to that kind of thing. And we also have a lot of mental health issues, people that feel really strongly and feel really deeply in this industry. So that's just something to be aware of, especially if you guys are working with shelter animals, rescues, or any of that sort of thing. Dogs that are really in bad shape. Okay, so I'm going to go and jump right in now. Let's see. Okay, so we worked on, another thing I want you to do while I'm teaching, if you have time, is type in the comment section anything that you see happening with the Smart 50 program. If you're seeing any behaviors that are just kind of happening out of nowhere, there are things that you like that you have already marked and rewarded just because there's something that you liked, let me know if those things are happening again. If you're seeing them happening, your dog's just offering those behaviors. Okay, so crate and door rushing. We talked about palm greetings with strangers, and now we're going to talk about coming out of doors and gates, crate gates, baby gates, exterior doors of the house, interior doors of the house, without rushing forward, especially if there's a human on the other side of it. That can be really exciting to dogs. It can up the ante. So we're not going to put a command on this. However, if you are using the word wait, you can use the word wait at the beginning, but I would quickly remove this because this is going to be, much of the things in this class are going to be expected. They're going to be default behaviors. So we're not cueing them. It is basically just the way it's going to be from now on. So let's start with what I would like for it to look like when you approach a doorway with your dog. So let's see which doorway. Let's use that. It goes into my kitchen. Am I looking for bed? Yes. And his release word is okay. I didn't release him because I wanted him to stay in this room. But I would like, it takes a lot of impulse control for your dog to just sit at doorways. That one's not a particularly difficult one for him because there's not going to be a stranger on the other side of it. If anything, it would be for him coming in here, because a lot of times I'll have clients or other dogs in here and he's raring to go to get in there to sniff the smells that the other dogs left behind or pick up any stray treats. An exterior door will be much more difficult, especially if there's a human on the other side. So let's talk about what that should look like. And I will use this exterior door over here. This is where people come and go from my office. So, yeah. So if they already sit, that's great. You're going to mark that but not reward it, because the reward for this is actually going to be moving outside of the door. So at the beginning, if you use stay away, you can give them the hand signal. I like to take that away pretty quickly because, again, we're not cueing these behaviors. So when you give them the hand signal, and I'll open the door. Now, Sesame is not a door rusher anyway because, okay, so that would mean you back it up. Like that. And I'm not telling him to wait or stay. I just want him to stay there. Okay. And then coming back in. You did it right. And if this, you know, he's just learning all of this too, so you might need to cue it again. Sesame. Okay. Great job. So the reward is getting to do the thing that they're kind of waiting for. So in this case, it's getting to enter the doorway. So your dog's not just going to do this automatically. So let me show you what it might look like when you get started. Okay, they're going to be bopping all around because they're excited. So you're going to do one cue to sit. And you, like I said, you can use that hand signal if you've been doing it. If not, try not to even worry about doing that. Try to just go right to the step where you're reaching for the handle. You might reach for the handle, they might get up and go bonkers. I'm super excited to go outside generally, so your dog may be too. Don't try this at first with a leash in your hand. It will make it more difficult. Start with an interior door of your house and then quickly move it to an exterior door. The door that we want to become really, your dog to become really, really great with this is the door where a human would enter, because that's usually when we see that jumping behavior, rushing the door, acting all bonkers when someone comes in, potentially jumping up at the person, on the person for attention. So you go like this, your dog's probably going to pop up. That's okay, no big deal. Wait till your dog's attention comes back to you and they're calm enough to be successful when you ask them for a sit. Don't ask them right away if they're wound up, because they're not going to be successful. We only want to cue a behavior when we know that the dog is pretty much solid and is going to be successful. At this stage, if you need to mark and reward just the sit, you can do that. But again, with all of the rewards around these things, phase them out quickly once they're reliably producing the behavior. You might need to go to 75% of the time treats, then 50% of the time treats. We call this an alternate reward schedule. So, you know, you might do a bunch of this, you might do some of this and have to do it and start back over. He knows this just because it's a default behavior that he already has to have. And then once you get to where the door's open and they're not going through, then you can release them to go with you or without you if they're going into like a fenced area. And it doesn't matter who proceeds out the doorway first, whether it's you or the dog. So get that under your belt, get that all set up. Then you're going to do it with the crate. So I'm going to move this over so that you can hopefully see. Oh, you can see it. Okay, so this is a crate. It is not a crate that Sesame uses, but hopefully he'll show you with this. Come on. Okay, so you come home from work. Your dog's bonkers, so excited to see you. You've been gone all day. Start walking up to the crate. When they are bonkers, turn around very dramatically and walk away like they don't exist. And try to walk up again. You might be able to get a little closer. You're going to need to do several reps of this if your dog is really, really excited to see you. Once you've gotten that down where you can approach and your dog can be calm, give them one cue to sit. Now remember, dogs don't generalize the way that we do, so if they've never been taught to sit inside of a crate, it may take them a moment to think it through. Just wait, let them think it through, don't ask them again. Whenever we repeat a command, we just made it optional. So you'll come up, you'll ask them to sit, wait. If they don't, you start the whole thing over. You walk away. So this chain of behaviors includes you walking up and them sitting. Now again, at the very beginning, like maybe just at the first training session of this, and you're just going to keep it short and sweet, maybe 10 minutes, you may have to give them the stay command. Now he does not know yet to not rush the crate door. He's probably going to pop up. Yeah, and so you're just going to, he didn't do anything wrong, you're just going to try again. So you're going to start completely over from the beginning. Sit. We got a little farther with the door. We're going to start back over again. Hopefully you can see him. Give him a moment. Sit. See how far I can get the door open this time. A little farther, but nope. And I'm not really telling him wait here, because again, we want to get rid of those verbal cues as soon as possible, because this should just be what they do. When the crate door opens, they wait. Sit seated until released. And we started some of this with that Say Please program earlier in the class, where we were making them sit and wait for other things. Now we're not gonna, with this, with the door, we're not gonna cue it. Give the verbal cue. Sit. And I'm just gonna wait. He didn't do it, so I'm just gonna start the exercise over. Sit. Wait. Good. He didn't pop up, so I'm just, there he popped up. So he stood up, so we're just gonna start over. And if your dog starts getting to where they're not going to sit when you cue them once, it means you need to walk away for a few minutes and then come back. He's already seated. Self-correct and go back and sit. Perfectly normal. And your dog might pick this right up, or they might take a long time. He's probably going to be in the moderate group. Sit. So I'm just going to step away, start the sequence over. Sit. And just wait. All right, he's not doing it. That's okay. He's confused. Just step away again, start over. Sit. Okay, so if they don't get it after about 3 times and you're not, you just started and it's not, you know that they're not tired of it, just open the crate slightly, don't let them out, get them into a sit. Sit. Okay, I'm gonna open it again. Okay. Great job. So let's try it one more time. Kennel up. Again, you don't start there, you walk away. Like you're coming home. Sit. Go back and sit. Sit. Okay. Good job. He has a default sit anyway, that when he gets anything, when he needs anything, he's gonna sit. Okay. This is also going to increase their emotional response on a positive side to being in a crate, because he did something in a crate and then he got a piece of food for it. Make sure you're using your marker word as much as possible, but you're not going to have to be marking them and rewarding. And then your release word comes after. Okay, so you're going to work on that. Short and sweet sessions. Don't come home when you're super excited and expect that that to be the first time you're working on this. Right. We're not doing nail trims right now. So that is going to be crate and doorway rushing. If you have any questions, please type them in the comments. If I don't get to them now, I can get to them in the Q&A directly after this. So let me make sure I covered everything. Okay, all right, next part. Then move on to the calm greetings that we did in the previous week. So you're going to start to do a couple of reps of your dog greeting people just inside the door. So your dog's on leash. And say there's another person here. Or even putting them on leash is going to make them think they're going outside. So that's going to kind of up the ante and make it more difficult too. So can you get them on? Now I have to keep closing it. Wait if they'll self-correct. He was waiting to be released. Okay, so do a bunch of those. And then have your helper far away from the door, maybe 10 or 15 feet away from the door, and just start the same thing over. They are doing nothing. They're just standing there. So So once that door's open and your dog sees that person, they're gonna be like, whoa, it's that person. All you do is gently close the door again, ask them to sit, open it up again. They're gonna see that person, so be ready to kind of close it. Don't close it on them, but be ready to kind of close it back so that they know that to open the door with that person outside now, they need to be keeping their butt on the ground until released. Slowly, oh, I feel. Slowly, okay. Lessen the distance that the person is from the doorway. And you're gonna do this over many days. And you can swap, like one person's inside, one person's outside, until the person is standing directly outside of the door. Once they are standing directly outside of the door, you can start to work on the person stepping into the door on one step. They have to keep their butt on the ground to be able to greet them. So see, we're combining door rushing and calm greetings, and this will help for dogs that jump up on people, get way too excited, zoom around the house, knock over grandma. So this is a really, really good one to help with impulse control. So we're moving up from things that aren't especially difficult for them to be able to sit and think and to be able to manage their frustration to things that now this is much more difficult for me to sit and think and have the tolerance for the frustration that it takes to perform this skill correctly and then get rewarded for it. And the reward here with the person will be releasing them to then go up to the person. And we don't want them rushing strangers on the street, so this can be used for in a lot of different ways. So again, crate rushing and door rushing, get that under control first, then add in a new person. If you want to be like a superstar and continue on with this, if you want to be a superstar and continue on with this, when you come home, you can be like, hey, and then ask them to sit. Like it's just keep upping the criteria. Make it more and more difficult. All that will do is add more and more impulse control required to be able to exit the crate. So the whole goal here is the impulse control, not the specific behaviors we're asking for. It's making them think and build up frustration tolerance. And the same thing at the door. You may be standing here. Once you've got this down, the person comes in, the person may walk right by you. And you just have to stand there until you're ready to release them. Okay, so that's that. That's a little complicated, especially with when you get to adding the entering human, but hopefully, you'll be able to get through that. Okay. The other thing that we're going to learn this week is the default leave it. As I said, this is Dr. Sophia Yen's default leave it. It's not teaching your dog to leave something when they already have possession of it. Sometimes the commands we use for that are drop it, out, things like that. So don't expect that they are going to disengage from something that they already have ownership over. That's a much different scenario for them. This basically means leave it, you're never going to get it, default to me, and I will reward you for that. So if you were to be walking and you walked up on a baby bunny, that's a leave it, right? You're never going to get that bunny, default to me, I'll reward you, let's proceed. If you drop your sandwich, that's a leave it, right? You want that sandwich, you don't want your dog to get it. So leave it is a really important one to build up, both for safety and for impulse control. Okay, and it's great for dogs that get excited to eat anything that they find on the ground. So this is where you're going to put your dog on the leash and grab your treats. I'll give you a second to do that. We worked on your dog disengaging from food in your hand, so you're perfectly primed now for this next step. So at first, you're going to launch a treat really far away from your dog. They're going to go to the end of the leash to try to get to it. You're not going to say anything right now because it's default behavior. This is just what we're going to do from now on. Okay, so I'm going to toss a treat. You might want to watch me do it a couple times before you do it. He's going to try to run to get it. I'm going to be a treat. I'm not going to lean into the pull on the leash, but I'm not going to pull back. The moment that he loosens that leash, you're going to mark and reward. Do that 5 times. So he just doesn't get that treat. I happen to be using the same treat, so that's basically the first step. You may find some along the way there. At home, folks, go around and pick up those treats again if your dog's going to be able to get them, because this is default. They should never get it. Now you're going to make it more complicated. Walking your dog around the treat, and if the leash stays loose, you can mark and reward. So I'm going to toss the treat hopefully somewhere in the middle. That was not hopefully somewhere in the middle. Again, nope. Wait. So he already disengaged, and I'm going to start walking him around it. As long as it... I was slow in that mark. I should have marked as soon as he disengaged. We're going to walk around this tree. Oh, I was late with that one too. It's the moment they take their head away that you're marking. Trainer fail. I'm just going to mark because he looked at the treat and looked away. I was slow again with marking. I don't know why I'm being so slow today. Slow there again. And as long as your leash stays loose, you can mark and reward the whole way around. He knows it's there. The other direction. Oh, I did that completely wrong. Trying to go the other direction is tough. Yep. Obviously, I'm doing this wrong. I'm trying to stay inside of the camera, so I'm getting way too close to the tree, but hopefully you understand. And don't do what I just did several of those times. You're marking when he looks away from it. Now, I'm using kibble, because he will work for kibble. I'm going to actually let him go, just for the sake of the class. I'm using kibble. You may need to start with higher value food that you're treating with, and lower value food on the floor. Once they're getting it, equal the value. And then over time, you can have something delicious there, but always have your treats that you're giving. Maybe you give 2 or 3. Maybe you give them, say the thing that they need to leave is this antler. Pretend like this is like a hamburger on the ground when you're walking. You may, say he's on leash next to me. We may be approaching, and if that leash is loose, I'm going to mark and reward. Oh, I clicked, didn't I? And if we're still walking, and if you were on leash, they disengage. Every time they disengage, they're marking and rewarding. So, walking them by something delicious, they get to do anything but go to it. They get marked and rewarded. See how he looked at it and looked away? That was exactly what I wanted. He's not going for it. No! See, he thought about it. After you have that down in the house, you can move it outside. You may want to recruit someone to help you with the next step. This is going to be more of palm greetings, but it's going to be outside with people that he does not get to meet. So no matter what, when we're doing this, the person, you're not going to meet him. We're walking by, you have to default to me. Once he has that down, you can have people that he's going to meet where he has to default, look at me. If he gets a release word, he can go. If he doesn't, we keep walking. And if the leash stays loose, and if he's checking in with you or looking at the person and defaults looking back up at you, you're marking and rewarding. So at the beginning, the helper's out of reach. You can make it tougher by getting closer to the helper. Basically, the helper replaces the antler or the food on the floor. So they have to default sit for this. The first couple sessions, don't do it where you're releasing them to move forward. But this should mostly be used when they're never gonna get to the person at the beginning. What you're looking for is them to disengage and look at you. Okay, so again, I'll hopefully walk by this antler and see if he'll do it. And remember, we have a unique situation because he's just learning a lot of this too. Thank you for coming front. Walk by this way. All right. So now I'm going to do it with food because apparently the antler has lost excitement. So I'm going to keep him there and put the food here. It's a whole pot, but I'm not saying leave it. Here's your treat that was coming. I'm being a tree, I'm not pulling him back, but I'm not letting him forward. This is harder because it's a lot of treats. I'm gonna walk him around. So leash stays loose. You can also just mark and reward that. So I'm just going to mark and reward because it's loose. Try going this way. See how he's enjoying himself though? That's what we want. Woo. Oh, sorry. I clicked when he looked over at me, but then he looked back. Okay, now I need to pick these up. He needs to learn that he's not going to get them. So I'll just put them back in my food pouch. Okay, so do it with food. Do it in every room with food. Then make the food more difficult. Then do it outside with food that he's leaving. Then you can attempt a stranger. Does that make sense? Do you have questions? If you do, type them in. help them learn that they have to look to you in the face of distraction. And good things come from you when they do that. So next week, we're going to talk about deferring to you on everything. So adding, a little stress there, adding that looking up to you with everything. But so for now, though, we just have this on this default leave it we're doing. Dr. Sophia Yin's default leave it. Okay, I'm going to look at my phone to see if there are any questions. I do that every time. You're a messy marker. Yeah. So I was just a messy marker, right? I was marking too late in a lot of times. And I just noted it and kept going. And note it in your mind, but just keep going. Don't stop. Don't get frustrated. Don't put the treats down. We're learning just like they are learning. I haven't done marker training with him in probably 2 weeks. So yeah, we all get messy. I'm a professional and I was just super messy with that. I don't know if you watched my Go to the Bed series. Awfully messy. Timing is really important, but it takes time to build up. And you can get out of practice. Like I said, I haven't done it in a couple of weeks. So he has a marker word as well. So in the house, I'm just using good or yes. He has all 3 charged for him. That's unusual. I don't actually recommend doing that. He needs it for different levels of reinforcers that he's going to be getting. And we're going to put that into play when we start working on, he's a dog-aggressive dog. So when we start working on disengaging from dogs at varying levels and actually starting to meet dogs. So that's what he has at. But you might hear me saying yes, good, or marking while I'm working with him. But okay, so that's the end. You're going to work on the default leave it. You're going to work on crate and doorway rushing, and you're going to be adding humans at the end of all those things. If you don't get to adding humans this week, don't rush it, right? So get all that stuff down before you add humans. Okay, that is the end of class. I don't see any questions. I struggle when I come home. Franklin's over threshold. He's abandonment stress, very excited to let him out of the crate. Okay, so that's going to take some tough love, right? Many approaches to that crate. It may take forever. So in your case, you may just get the sit and then open the door for a few days. And then get the sit and just, he's sitting when you touch the handle. And then maybe the next day it's when he touched the handle and opened it. If they're that over threshold, they can't really learn anyway. So just try that. And also don't try this when you're first coming home as your first session. Just put them in the crate for a moment, walk away, go right back to it. Practice that way so that it's built up before you've actually left him and then come back in. Okay, I think that's it. Happy training. And for those of you watching live, I will be doing the live Q&A at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, happy training.